Hey, how's it going, everybody? Coach Kyle here, and today you're going to learn about something that I've been dealing with over the last week or so, and thankfully it came on very quickly, but it resolved very quickly as well, and that's hamstring syndrome. It's related to sciatica or piriformis, and like I said, it can come on quickly, but in my case, it goes away pretty quickly as well. This is a discomfort, often sharp, radiating from kind of the gluteal region down into the hamstring. So in my case, it kind of happened right in here in my high hamstring area. And it manifested as a very sharp pain in that gluteal fold region. And it did a little bit radiate down lower into my hamstring towards the knee. And I have experienced this problem twice in my running life, both during high periods of training load. In my case, it's very much related to time spent sitting. So, piriformis, sciatica, or hamstring syndromes are conditions where that sciatic nerve can become highly irritated. The nerve, it has its roots in the lower spine and it travels all the way down your leg, all the way down to the foot. And discomfort can occur if this nerve, the sciatic nerve, happens to pass through the piriformis muscle. And the piriformis muscle is right in here, or if it passes through the hamstrings and the back of the leg, or maybe it gets kind of pinched around any like bony structures. Sciatica is where this nerve is uncomfortable in the lower back region with disc or spinal conditions that can irritate or compress the nerve roots, and that's quite painful. Compressed nerves are painful. It could manifest in the lower back or that gluteal region, while the piriformis is in the kind of basically your butt. And if the nerve travels through the piriformis, then if the piriformis is tight or you're sitting 8 hours a day, it can bother that. And hamstring syndrome is when it's the same thing. If the muscles of the hamstring, you have more than one, it's not just one hamstring muscle. If the muscles in your hamstring maybe pinch or compress the nerve, and the sciatic nerve doesn't pass through the piriformis muscle in everyone, but if you're one of the unlikely few that it does, then your chances of experiencing this problem go up. And since a reason for this pain is compression or pinching of the nerve within the muscle during long periods of sitting, that nerve can get aggravated from things like sitting at a desk or long car rides. For myself, mainly, recently in this year, this summer, I've been just having the slightest twinge of it while sitting in our car. Basically, if we were to go out and drive in the hills for 1 or 2 hours, I would just barely be able to feel it. But last week I went back home to Watertown, South Dakota, actually Kransburg, South Dakota, to see my parents and my sister, and that was 12 hours total of driving over 3 days, and it got really bad after that first day, during the drive, the 6-hour drive home, and then the next day. So now that we know kind of what it is, a little bit about why it happens, and my experience with it, let's go over what helped me resolve the problem. Does anybody else love sneezing? It's like the best feeling in the world. So, number one, reduced sitting time. And this is, I think, number one. Putting half my body weight almost on my ass puts pressure, and it can tighten that hamstring, the piriformis. And we've all heard about how bad sitting is for you. And not only is sitting pure inactivity, but you're sitting on some muscles there, and you're there's stuff down there that isn't meant to be sat on for 8 hours a day. So every morning, like just right outside here before my computer almost died, I was out on the side porch typing up stuff on my standing desk, which is just the side porch basically, but it's fantastic. So that helps a lot. Next up is the tennis ball, or I've got this. I bought it at the dollar store, and it has lights in it, and it was $1. And putting this if I do have to go on a car drive, we used to keep this in the car. I just put it basically under my high hamstring lower glute, and it's it's there, but it's not bad to sit on, and it's cool looking, but it makes the pain go from a 5 out of 10 to a 1 out of 10. So yeah, get one of these if you have to sit for extended periods of time, and you get in that hamstring glute pain. And next up is also the ball comes back. There's glitter in there as well. It's neural flossing and stretching. So let's see about showing you a few routines. Put you right there. Get my yoga mat. So, let's see. All right. Get you set up right there. Okay, so neural flossing is pretty weird, and it's basically where it can be called gliding, where you're actually moving that nerve through its sheath, and you're kind of just working it a little bit, and it can be anything. So that sciatic nerve travels from here all the way down your leg. And where's my ball? And one thing is that when it gets really tight back here, my ability to move my leg forward was almost zero. Like, I was having trouble getting it up on curbs. It wasn't bad during easy runs because your leg doesn't move up that much during easy runs, but kind of jumping up on a curb or doing a stride really kind of made me aware of the tightness back here. So things that you could do, one thing is you could sit on the ball, and if you're in a chair, you can sit on the ball, kind of get it to where you really feel that tension, and you can really just rock. And when you're doing this, even moving your toes like this will slightly move, just a tiny bit, move that nerve. And I would do this years ago when I was having this problem. I would do this where I would sit on a chair, I would put the ball down here, I would move it around a little bit, and I would bend my knees and I would rock back and forth. I would do 50 reps, and that helped a great deal to kind of work that nerve a little bit. And the other thing that's really important to do is some stretching. And this was night and day. So I got back from the 6-hour car drive on Thursday, and it was not great. So what I did is I did just a 10-minute stretching routine with some flossing and some hamstring stretching. And basically, this is a combination of kind of some stretching and some active isolated flexibility. So one thing I did is I used my muscles, my leg, to move my leg up. Then I give it another yank. And one thing you can do is move your toe as well. So I'm lifting my leg up with my leg, toes pointed, bring the toe back, and just doing that will kind of floss that nerve a little bit. So you can bring toes pointed, foot up, toes back, toes point, and down. And if you want to give it a little extra, bring the toes and give it a little bit of an extra tug. And doing that, I can just barely feel it right back here, and that stretching that nerve. And if I bring my toes back, I can feel it just a little bit more. So that's a good one to do. And some other stretches are this figure 4 stretch. And you can start here, and you gotta hold these for 30 or 60 seconds. You see people walk up to a treadmill, they grab they grab their ankle, and they pull their heel towards their butt, and they hold it for 5 seconds, not doing anything. You got to hold stretches for 30 or 60 seconds. And remember that stretching and flexibility is about relaxation, not lengthening. So really just relax as much as possible when you do these. Don't yank. You're not pulling against resistance. You're relaxing. You're not trying to just stretch something out. You're trying to practice relaxation, basically. So what I would do is I would just do this stretch for 30 seconds, and kind of do this one where you're bringing it not back like the previous one, but over to the side. 30 seconds. And then the figure 4 stretch as well for 30 seconds. You could go through that 2-3 times a day. Have the ball handy, do some neural flossing, and that one day of that, literally a 10-minute session of that. And then actually later that evening, I was out for a walk with Banjo and Desi, and I'm like, hey, my hamstring is totally fine. And I didn't even think about it. And it was so bad earlier that morning, and the previous day after that 6-hour car drive, that I was having trouble, like lifting my leg up onto a curb. That's not that tall. And after the 10-minute stretching routine, totally fine. Like 0.5 out of 10. And I was able to cut 15 seconds off my 2K time trial and be A-okay. And the previous day I was barely able to get my leg up to here. So it was a quick problem to come on. Well, it took 12 hours of sitting, but it was a quick problem to solve as well. And it just took some good stretching. I'll keep doing this routine for a couple weeks to make sure I kind of really get everything resolved. And in general, how to prevent this, or all injuries in reality, part of the equation is doing good, consistent strength and mobility work and flexibility. And I think this problem here that I experienced was mostly related to sitting, because that's when I experience it. So being mindful of how much you're sitting. Like for me, if I wouldn't have sat for 12 hours over 3 days, I wouldn't have had this problem. But I did, and I addressed it. And in general, 3 to 5 routines weekly of strength and mobility is what I do myself, what I have my clients do, and that goes a long way towards preventing all sorts of injuries. And with my clients, I'm not just giving them training to do, but we look at you're a 24-hour athlete. How's your sleep? How's your diet? How's your mental health? How's your accountability, your motivation, things like that. Dialing in race nutrition, race strategy, getting gear appropriately dialed in. All of this comes into play. The best coaches in the world can provide the perfect training plan, but if they're not working on all the other little details, then the coach and the client are both missing out on good results. And this is what I go through with myself and with all my clients. And if it's something that you think would be beneficial, go to kyletrans.com, check out my coaching information, and hit that contact button and fill out the form. And let's chat. What I don't want you to do is not do it, not sign up, and wish you would have done it 3 months from now. You're going to be better off in 3 and 6 months if we start working together now. Now is the time, people. So get it. Don't regret not doing it now. I like to work with people who are ready to take action. So if you're ready, take action. Contact me, and let's get rocking. Let's have a really great next 3-6 months. So as always, I'm Coach Kyle. You keep running. I'm going to keep coaching. Get one of these.